We're gonna skate to one song only.
All right. Today's very special guest, the emergency backup for the Nashville Preds and once dressed for the Colorado Avalanche, Dustin Dembones Smith. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's an honor. I believe I skated with you a few times in Nashville when I was on Junior Preds. In that
Not a big deal.
DH morning skate, I believe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we just had a fun little morning skate this morning. We do kind of like an alumni thing every Tuesday, Thursday morning. So fresh off a nice morning skate.
Oh yeah, with JP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the legend himself. We got a good group going.
Sweet. So we got some questions for you. Golb's gonna start it off.
All right. Life as an ebug. I mean, what's that like? How'd it come to be, and your whole hockey journey, basically?
Yeah, well, life as an ebug in general, it's I don't know. It's a lot of sitting around watching games, and a lot of not really anything happening. You're just kind of going to the games, hanging out, but then you see guys like Tom Hodges. You saw this year go and play for. He went and played for Anaheim. It's kind of a wake up call. Like, oh yeah, I'm here for a reason. I'm potentially getting put into a game. So you kind of go to games and try to keep that mindset fresh that it is possible to get into a game. But the becoming an emergency goalie, it's pretty different city to city. I think each goalie will probably have sometimes similar stories, a lot of them different. But I kind of established my relationship with the Preds during the lockout in 2012, and I ended up practicing with them for the whole lockout. And then the Florida Panthers actually had like a goal of a lifetime competition, and a bunch of goalies went down and just had this really big goalie competition. I ended up tying that with a guy who lives in Florida, and then after that was when the emergency goalie rule came about. And because I already knew the Preds and had already practiced with them, they hit me up and said, "Hey, do you want to be our ebug?" And it's been yes every year since then. So I've been enjoying the whole ebug life for a while now.
So coming up, what's something that we ask our guests is their hockey journey through college and youth, and everyone has a different story. Can you talk about a little bit about your story?
Yeah. As far as a path, not exactly the most glamorous path. I was born in San Diego, and I moved here to Nashville when I was like 10, 11 years old, and started playing roller hockey, and then jumped into ice hockey, started playing high school. And then after high school, I ended up playing D3 college club here in Nashville. And as far as like competitive hockey, that was really kind of the end of the road. It was beer league after that, kind of a typical beer league path, I guess. But, getting to know guys in the community and practicing with a lot of pros and, stuff over the summers eventually led to the opportunity to practice with the team during that lockout. So, had some pretty awesome hockey experiences over the years, mostly just kind of stuff that I've either like fell into or just kind of hung around and ended up putting myself in these situations. But yeah, as far as a path, really nothing too glamorous or anything like that.
I did a little research on the Elite Prospect. It says something about the SPHL. Did you play games, or what was that like?
No, I might even have the wrong person, because I never played anything in the SP, unless someone's sneaking in some stats for me to pump my tires. But nothing in the SP, no pro, anything.
So it was straight from men's league to just being an ebug. The lockout, right? So yeah. What happened during the lockout? Did you call them, or they call you?
So no, there's a skills coach in town, Tim McAllister, and he does a lot of skills work with a lot of pros. And I ended up skating with guys like JP Dumont, Martin Erat, and those guys over the summers. And it was usually small groups, a handful of maybe some junior kids and stuff like that. And Timmy would call me out and have me come out and just fill a net for skill stuff. And that year of the lockout, I just hit Timmy up and said, hey man, like, I'm available in the mornings. If you have any skates, like, I'd love to come out. He says, yeah, actually, if you want to come out on Monday, like, we'll have a pretty good group. And then he says, oh, by the way, Pekka and Mason are probably going to be there. And I was thinking small group, maybe Pekka and Mason would have their own end or something like that. And I show up and it's wall to wall Preds. Like, there wasn't even anywhere for me to sit. It was just so packed with all these Preds players. And, I asked Timmy all the time, like, why would you even have me out for that? Like that, didn't really have any place being there. And he's like, oh, well, why not? Why wouldn't I have you out there? But, that was actually a really big summer for me. I learned a lot. I ended up skating with all the pro guys for a while, and it was this, pretty wild experience for me, but it really kind of thrust me into kind of the hockey lifestyle that, I've been living, all the way up to today.
You mentioned the that pro morning skate or whatever it was. Were there any rookies there at that skate that's now like real, like big time guys in the NHL?
You know what? I can't really think of any. I think a lot of these like big name guys, they kind of have their own skills coaches, stuff like that. Timmy was just a great coach that was local, and guys could just stay here in town and work with him. But I've skated with a lot of guys from different eras of the Preds. Going back to like the Shea Weber days, and skating with Roman Josi when he was a lot younger, when he was a rookie. It was, it's kind of crazy to see him develop over the years and become like the elite defenseman that he is today. So I think that would kind of be the closest one, is skating with Josi.
So you may have not played in the SP, but you did suit up for the Avs. How was that experience?
Man, that whole experience was wild. Like, because, like I said, as an ebug, you go to all these games and nothing really happens. But, this year coming off the COVID season, I decided, I'm going to have a fresh mindset going into these games, because it's, coming off a COVID season, you never know what's going to happen. And, so I was doing kind of my pregame warm up that I usually do. I usually throw on the VR headset. I do this like Sense Arena like warm up that I would do, before any other game, just to kind of get in that mindset of playing hockey. And I just finished my warm up, and my phone was blowing up like, hey, we need you to get to the rink now. So everything moved really fast. It went from being super nervous, as I'm like slamming all my gear in my bag, panicking, like trying to get to the rink. But, by the time I left the house, it quickly turned into excitement. Like, having just a short amount of time to really process what was happening. But like, I really wanted to make sure that I enjoyed the whole experience. And from the minute I walked into the rink to, the minute I'm stepping out on the ice for warmups, it was, everything moved really fast. But getting on the ice, looking around and skating around with everybody was like one of the coolest experiences.
Can you, in the Avs locker room, what was that like? Like, is there any standout guys in that locker room?
Oh man, like, as you can imagine, Nathan McKinnon, the whole situation for that game was, you can tell they were all pretty frustrated. They had guys dropping left and right, testing positive for COVID. They were put in a pretty sticky situation. Like, they're losing players and they have a game to play and a game to prepare for. But, it was cool to see all the guys in the room kind of rally together. I didn't realize how intense McKinnon was, like, as an individual. And, it was really cool to see that fire that he had and the intensity and watching everybody in the room kind of rally up and, go to work.
Who's got the best shot in the room?
Oh man, I honestly, like, going through warmups, I didn't even remember who was shooting. It was just like, I jumped in for, kind of the last bit of it there. And, my adrenaline was pumping so hard. I didn't even have a chance to see who was shooting and what, but, I felt like I was moving a million miles an hour, and I had a buddy who sent me a video, and it's just just moving around normal, like nothing crazy. But yeah, no, I don't even remember at this point like who had the best shot out there.
Have you skated with Pekka and Saros, and how is that? And is there anything that they do that's special that really separates them from just other goalies around the league?
Yeah, man, like skating with Pekka, like going back to the lockout year, you know, when I first met him, you know, kind of another guy that has intensity, but you know, only on the ice is, you know, you hear everybody say he's one of the nicest people ever, because he really is. Like as a person, like he's just such a great person. But you know, I remember seeing him during we were playing rebound game, like towards the end of a practice, and you know, you see goalies like get into it and battle and work, but like, you know, Pekka just had this level of you know, competitiveness in him that you know, I hadn't really seen before. And you know, every opportunity that I had to skate with him since then was always super special, because you know, you do get to see this incredible goalie just go to work. And he's just so big and he's so athletic, and so it was always a treat to get to see him play. But Saros, man, talk about like a skilled goalie. Like he's a little more quiet, calm, and reserved as a guy, but again, like such a good person. And you know, every time I get to go see him play at games, it's always a treat for me. But you know, anytime I get to get on the ice with him and talk with him for a little bit and then watch him go to work, it's pretty inspiring too. You know, you see a guy like him go to work and just kind of, the guy's killing it. Like I love watching the guy play. So you know, kind of a bummer that he got hurt there going into the playoffs. You know, he worked really hard to get to that position. And but I mean, you know, knowing him, he's going to go to work over the summer and he's going to come back and be, you know, better than he was this year.
Do you think Saros is going to win the Vezina this year?
Man, I hope so. That would be huge. I mean, like Igor Shesterkin is nominated too, and I think he's an incredible candidate. So he's got some tough competition just all around, but it would be so huge just for him, like on a personal level. I would really love to see him win the Vezina.
You mentioned the Florida goal of a lifetime. I remember watching videos of Kane Van Gate. Did you meet him when he was there? Were you I don't remember. Were you on the video? What was he like?
Yeah, man. So like, you know, when we first got there were so many goalies and they had us kind of like packed in all these rooms. And I remember dropping my bag down and getting dressed, and I looked over, you know, I saw his gear sitting right next to me in the chair, and I was like, oh man, that'd be kind of cool. Like if that's Kane Van Gate, whatever. And, you know, he came walking in and, you know, super chill and reserved. And, you know, it was really nice meeting him. And, you know, I think I ended up popping in the video at some point, just like, you know, as we were getting on the ice and everything like that. But I ended up getting to know him, you know, pretty well over the years. He ended up coming to Nashville last summer. You know, we got to jump on the ice, hang out, and, you know, super awesome guy. But yeah, it was cool getting to meet him for the first time down in Florida.
Be ready to move in some hot takes, or
Yeah.
are you ready?
We like to call it Golub's cold takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, let's go.
All right. Tampa Bay just swept Florida, probably with one of the best goaltending performances. 49 save shutout to clinch the series against a very strong Florida team. Is Tampa going to win it, and who stands? I know you skated with Colorado. Do you think, being in the locker room, do you think Colorado has what it takes to take down Tampa?
Like, I think that's it. Like, I don't really think anybody else. The way Tampa's playing right now, and it's like, man, here we go again. Tampa's rolling through it, and you know, Florida was a great team. Like, it's not like they were a bad team and just got steamrolled, but like, man, like once Tampa gets rolling, it's kind of tough to really bet against them. You know, they came down here and played for that stadium series game here in Nashville, and it was again like, man, this team just like, once they get clicking, they get going. It's like, man, forget about it. Especially with Vasilevsky playing the way he is too. Like, that guy's an absolute beast. So I don't know. It would be great to see a Colorado Tampa final. I don't know, just like as a hockey fan in general, you don't want to see Tampa win another one just because that's I don't want to say boring, but it's like, man, come on, like somebody else has to win it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll see. Like at this point, it's kind of like I said, tough to bet against them. Like they're just rolling through it.
One of the biggest things that Barnes has talked about on this is he's wearing the jersey right now. It talks about Vasilevsky possibly being one of the best goalies of all time. Even at this young of an age, he has accomplished so much. I think he's about to go to his third Stanley Cup. What's your input on that? Do you think he is?
Oh, absolutely. I would say it's pretty underrated. You know what I mean? Like you look at the numbers and the stuff that he's accomplished over the years, and it's impressive. And he's remained dominant. Like he's still, like you said, putting up that performance he put up the other night. And I think it's very easy to put him into that conversation as one of the best goalies.
Yeah, Barnes, what do you think about Tampa right now?
So I'm obviously a Tampa fan and a huge Big Cat fan. I did the math this morning and I saw that he's stopped the last 76 shots he's seen. I don't remember the last time I've ever stopped 76 shots in a row.
Yeah, I can agree. Yeah.
So he's putting up alien numbers right now. I don't even think he's from Russia. He might be from outer space. There's some times in the game where you think the other team should score and they just don't because he's there to just stop it. And it's got to be a killer for the other team knowing you have to play Vasilevsky.
Yeah, without Vasilevsky, I don't think Tampa would be half the team they are.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough argument too. Like they're an incredible team, but Vasilevsky obviously just like he just dominates, man. It's like you said, it's almost not fair. It's got to be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I was talking to a goalie today at my morning skate, and we were saying that they need to patch him. Like the NHL needs to patch him. He's a glitch.
Just go in there and fix it, guys. Like.
How about you, Golub? What's your thought?
I don't know. I mean, I like Edmonton a lot. I think Connor McDavid's really good, like really good. He held out against Los Angeles. I think he probably single-handedly did that with the help of the only Evander Kane. But I don't know. I think if Edmonton beats Colorado, I think that Tampa's going to be in trouble because once McDavid gets hot, it'll be hard to stop him even against Vasilevsky. If Colorado wins, I think Tampa has it a little easier.
Yeah, I don't like Connor McDavid is definitely one of those special players. Like one guy doesn't win it in hockey, just hockey as a sport, especially lately the way the game has been developing. But like just this guy, man, like he's that good. But anytime you get a chance to watch him, it's like it's a treat. You know what I mean? Anytime they would come through Nashville, it's like, all right, well, you get to watch Connor McDavid go to work, and him here in the playoffs, he's definitely he's stepping up.
We got the next question. Oh, sorry, Golub.
My bad.
Kadri ran into Binnington, and he's out for the rest of the series. How do you think the Blues are going to stay in it, and will they be able to stay in it?
Well, they're another team that's like, they've remained a really good team since they won the cup and everything like that. Binnington has had some huge games, and he's been playing really well this playoffs too. But I don't know, like it's one thing to say that Binnington would have been the deciding factor in that series, but at the same time, like they're playing Colorado, and Colorado is they're Colorado right now. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like you could argue that the Preds would have done better with Saros in net, but I don't think they win that series with Saros just, because Colorado is so good. But I don't know, it definitely changes things up a bit. It's definitely a bummer for the Blues, but it'll be interesting to see, how they turn things around.
Barnesy?
Yeah, I mean, the Avs are like a really good team, and I think they do have a lot of firepower. But I had Ville Husso in fantasy this year, and there were some times that he was playing like an animal. So if he can find his game again, I think the Blues could have a fighting chance. But if he can't, because I believe he's been struggling recently, that I don't think they stand a chance.
I agree. Darcy Kemper's also playing pretty well right now. But Ville Husso started the series against Minnesota, correct?
Yeah.
And they didn't start too hot against Minnesota. And once Binnington stepped in, they really stepped it up. So unless Husso finds something that we haven't seen before, I think it'll be very difficult for the Blues to stay in it. Brings us to our next question. The Battle of Alberta. It's probably one of the things that most hockey fans in Canada have been wanting to see for a very long time. Any tap in on that?
Man, like, I don't think you even have to be a Canadian to appreciate that rivalry. Like, that's the Battle of Alberta is just an exciting matchup, and the fact that it's in the playoffs makes it even more exciting. But man, like that first game, it's like oh my god, like both teams, you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden there's so many goals, but like, you know, nobody's out of it. And all of a sudden guys are coming back, and it's definitely not going to disappoint. And I don't think it's disappointed yet. Like it's definitely one of the more exciting series to watch.
Yeah. Mike Smith, Koskinen, that tandem, it can be scary. Mike Smith might be older than dirt, but he still plays the puck better. Last week we had Coach Kaiser on the podcast, and he mentioned how from like 200 feet away, he shot a puck, hit the upper glass. So he's still one of those guys that plays the puck better than a lot of other goaltenders in the NHL now and in the past. I think the only better is probably Martin Brodeur. And Koskinen, I mean, there's no other goalie that wears the number 19 better. So,
Well put. Very well put.
that's all I have to say about him. Markstrom is a solid goaltender, although he gave up 6 goals in the first game. Vezina contender, great sty, CCM pads. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams keep putting up with each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and after Mike Smith getting ran the other night, like, classic Milan Lucic, like, you know, Mike Smith, you know, he could be a hothead too, but I don't know, man. Like, just that whole situation was kind of dicey.
Yeah, that's another thing. Do you think these NHL goalies are not being protected enough by the refs?
Like sometimes I think it goes both ways. Sometimes it's like, oh man, like, you know, these goalies are almost overprotected. And there's sometimes where it's like, man, like these goalies are definitely underprotected. But I don't know, like the NHL handles goalie situations, you know, seemingly different every time, especially with goalie interference. You never know what is actually going to be goalie interference or not. But I don't know. It is just tough to see like a Mike Smith go back there to play the puck, get ran over, but you know his helmet comes off. Everyone's piling up on top of him. Sure, you know that's your starting goalie. You obviously don't want him to get hurt after just going back there to play the puck.
Yeah. Barnes, you want to tap in on the Battle of Alberta?
Yeah, I believe Koskinen just signed with a team in Europe, like for next year. So I don't think he's going back to the Oilers. I think McDavid is too much for Markstrom. I think Markstrom's a really good goalie, but when watching the games, I see that he's a little too slow for McDavid. Not saying that Markstrom's a slow goalie. I'm just saying McDavid's a really fast player, and it's hard to match the speed of McDavid. I feel like very few goalies in the league could do that. And as much as you can joke about Evander Kane, I believe he had 2 hat tricks back to back. So he's actually on fire, and he's playing with Draisaitl and McDavid, and that line's looking really scary. So I got Oilers beating the Flames now. So
Yeah, that's probably not a bad call. And like when you are on a line like that, it's almost like you're obligated just tap backdoor tap-ins basically, because you know you gotta respect McDavid, and even if you play the pass, whatever, like he still has to still get the pass over there. I don't know, like we saw the other night, it's just like, oh, the same situation, you know what I mean? Connor McDavid coming down the side, just pass it over to Kane, he just bangs it home. Like, there's not much you could really do.
Yeah. We have Hurricanes and Rangers going at it right now. Thoughts on that? I know a couple games have gone by. I thought Rangers were gonna just wipe them, but Hurricanes are putting up a pretty good fight.
Yeah, that's turned into another really good series. Like I think at this point, I've become such a big Shesterkin fan. I love watching him play. He's not a huge guy, compared to a lot of other goalies. So it's really good to see, him kind of show off the amount of skill that he has. But man, Carolina's doing pretty well too. They're definitely handling their own.
Rent is definitely holding his own in net right now.
Man, he has some sick backdoor saves. Like even in the Boston series, some of these big stretched like backdoor saves. It's like, man, how did he even pull that off?
Yeah, Barnes.
To be honest, I was a Ranta doubter. Carolina tweeted the hold the L the other day, and I took that really personal because I was one of those haters. But he's really proven me wrong, and he's been playing really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Rent is strong. I do like their future with their backup right now. That Russian kid stepped in late in the season, stepped in early in the Boston series, waiting for Ranta. It's a shame that Freddie Anderson's in Carolina now, right? That's their guy. Yeah, it's a shame he went down, and I think he held himself, but you can't just throw a goalie in to a playoff setting right away. So it was tough, and he handled himself. So I think they have a bright future with that kid.
Yeah, he's got a lot of fire too. Kid's huge. It was good to see him kind of get in the mix with Marchand there. I thought that was pretty great. But yeah. I mean, they're definitely in good hands.
Yeah, he was poking the Lambo.
I thought that was great.
Gold.
Locker room in Colorado. I know we're going back to it, but who started that game for Colorado?
So I think Kemper ended up testing positive, and then Frank Hughes got the call. And I'm on my way down to the arena, and I was talking to Benny Vanderklok, the goalie coach for the Preds. I'm like, man, like, I'm stepping in this situation. Like, you got any words of advice? Like anything, whatever. He didn't really say much, but he's like, man, just a heads up. Like Frank Hughes, like he hadn't played in something like a year and a half, 2 years, like hasn't started a game, and he was just coming off injury after being injured for a while. And he's like, if ever there was an opportunity, like, this is it. So, he ended up doing really well and having a great game. He was a super nice guy too, talking to him in the room.
Did you notice any superstitions of the goalie of him?
No, not really. I mean, he mostly kind of kept to himself in his corner over there. And, I think given this opportunity to start a game, which he hadn't done in a while, I think he really wanted to lock things down, get focused, and, definitely a pro's pro in my opinion. I didn't notice any kind of like weird quirks or anything like that, but yeah, it was good to see, a guy like him knuckle down and handle a situation like that.
So our last question for you is, did you get to keep the jersey? And
I did. I kept the jersey, and they gave me a hat too. I don't know if I was supposed to keep the hat or not, but I walked out with it on. So yeah, I got to keep the jersey, got the hat, a couple pretty awesome mementos from the experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you so much for coming on and talking to the boys. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.